Hi, everybody. It's me again, R.R. Verdi, and then with my co-host Amy Hopkins at the Blarg Factory. Today, we're going to be talking about branding, another style of marketing, and like how to essentially create your name, your brand, and your own recognition. And then Amy's going to lead and start off with that. So,
Okay,
all to you.
probably the one of the easiest ways to brand your series is with your covers. And one of the reasons that I've picked this topic today is that that is something that I know Ronnie has done really, really well, and hope that I've done really, really well. You can definitely tell my books are related. And we do use the same cover designer, and she is very clever about that sort of thing. And I believe when she first designed Ronnie's covers, knowing that it was a series, she sort of had that in mind, and had an idea of where she wanted to go for the other books. And I'm just going to bring up some covers so you guys can have a look and see what we're talking about. I will start with Ronnie's books, which are just absolutely stunning. So he writes The Grave Report, which is about a guy who does a bit of body hopping. So when you have a main character who is a different person in every book, how do you get that branding consistent? And as you can see here, Ronnie, was it your idea or Sarah's to obscure the face on each cover?
It's mine because the original cover, which we don't have a copy of here, he already had his face obscured there with only a few key features that matched the fictional character's biography in there. Originally, I used a real person, my friend who happened to have similar features. So all you could see was part of his eyes, which were the same color, and part of his skin, and the rest was obscured by smoke. In this one, it's burned out for obvious reasons if you read the novel. But yeah, it was just we figured that way we could use and design whatever images we want, and we can continue the series, and we don't have to worry about finding or using an image that might be hard to make it look like a specific character because the face is irrelevant at the end of the day. Vincent Graves' personality is the same throughout the series, so it's a fun little motif that carries on, and it's also creative. Like, what can we figure out that fits this novel that will also hide his face?
Yeah, yeah. And I'll point out, like, this idea is fantastic, but obviously not everybody's going to go out there and put a big splotch on the star of their cover. And it's not just that central image that carries over with each book. It's little things like the placement of your author name and the title, the fonts that you use, the layout of the actual cover itself. All of those things can really help take a series through from start to finish, even if you've got very, very different base images that you're working with, which sometimes happens if you've got books that kind of take a bit of a tangent. It is still important to be able to look at a thumbnail of a picture, which is all that you see when you're browsing that Amazon page, and go, well, hey, well, these books fit together. They're all in the same series. I'm just going to quickly throw up my covers. As you can see, they're a little bit more same. But that was intentional on my part. This is a cover design that I came up with the concept of, and Sarah just absolutely took it and ran with it and made it look amazing. My covers, my books are aimed primarily at a British audience. And across the US and the UK, there are quite different standards, I guess, for covers. That they tend to be quite different, and that's why I've gone with this slightly more, I guess, abstract cover. But as you can see, even if you took away the background image, I've still got the series name, I've still got the same font in the same place across the title, and the author name is down the bottom on both books. So you would still easily be able to see that they're branded. And that is something that is super important. You have to be able, sorry, I'll take this off because it looks a little weird. You have to be able to show people that your books fit together, and they have to be able to look at it and go, well, I've read this one. Now I'm going to continue on and read those other ones. Because you've got to send that signal that they're the same books and you're expecting the same thing. And if you loved the first one, you will love all of the others and build up that loyalty.
And then one of the other things I noticed, which is sort of a mistake, I believe that a lot of new authors make, is when they're in control of their own covers or they get somebody, they make their author name font way too small or obscure or hard to read. And I don't know if it's like first time shyness, like they don't want to make it legible. They want to kind of keep it small and out of the way, and like they want the cover to speak for itself. Your name has to be big and legible because you're part of that brand now. Branding is more than just your image in your series. It's your name. You want to be associated with it. It's like Stephen King. His name is really big on the covers. Yes, he's earned it, but at the same time, there is such a thing as being too small on your covers. You don't want to like fade in obscurity. You want people to memorize your name and stick it with that cover because hopefully you did a really good job and you want to be associated with that good job and you want to keep that association as you progress with your writing. And it's something I see a lot of indie authors do is they just make they make the title really hard to read and use pretty colors or fonts, and then they also make it really tiny, and then they do the same thing with their author name. And it's like that should be really big and easy to read, and because we want to know who we're buying into, especially if we want to keep buying into them. So that's something to think about. Like with Brandon Sanderson, like whenever you look at any of his books, I mean, his name takes up like a decent size of it, but I mean, the cover is still amazing, but it doesn't obscure anything. Like you have to find that right balance.
I think it's easy when it's your first book. You look at it and go, well, it's just one book and nobody knows who I am. But you have to remember, if you're writing a series, that book is not a book. That is one part of a thing comprised of multiple parts. And when you get up to book 7, people are going to have to know who you are, or you're not going to be selling books.
Yep. Well, even if it's one book, like you were saying, you still want to be known for it because hopefully it's a good book and it does really well and it sells. That's one of the things you want as an author. It's not about like being greedy or anything. You want your book to be read. That's why you wrote it. So it's kind of nice to be associated with it.
It's not bragging. It's not big noting yourself. It's offering something to your reader. It's saying, here is a book, and here is a way to very easily find more of this if you like it. And it's doing them a favor. It's not something that should be looked down on.
Yeah, I mean, think about it when you're like looking at anything in a business or flyer outside. They make the name and the phone number or the address really easy to read. Why? Because they want you to find them. They want you to contact them. Don't make this too hard for your readers and other people, and then be surprised when like they're having a hard time finding and you're not seeing sales and you're not, Yeah, I mean, with branding, like I've not gone overboard, but I think I've done a really good job because I've gotten Grave Beginnings out there in a lot of different other ways, more than just the cover with my bookmarks and images and glasses and plaques and stuff I've made. I bumped into people who have seen it already now. Like that image, it works for the series. It catches people. There's a really nice contrast between not just the face and the body, like the face is burned out and the body's there with the dark suit, but the New York background is tinted that really dark, like orange, which contrasts the dark edges, the blacked out sides of the cover. Like it balances really well. And those are all things to take into account and then keep them going. Like with the second one, Sarah did an amazing job. She tinged the background and created that hospital effect, but it's really dark and it doesn't look like a normal hospital. It's got that green tinge to it, which sort of matches the little bit of tint in the white lettering she did up top, but it's not purely white, which matches sort of the jacket. And then there's the black center splotch on his face, which is the really big piece of contrast against all of that. So like there's an art to it, and I don't know the art obviously, but I can see it and recognize it, and I can tell like it's catchy. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's just another part of it.
You can look at them and there's no way that you're going to confuse that they are the same book and the same story, but at the same time you could take away any element of those books and still see that they're branded as a series. And then when you have all of those elements together, they do look fantastic, and they really are going to persuade people to click through and buy it.
Yep.
So you're launching a new spin-off series later in the year. Have you thought about, considering that it's not the same character, it's not the same series, how you're going to brand those to sort of bring them together while making it clear that they're not the same?
Well, I'm not going to make the cover. I'm not going to go out of my way to make the cover make it obvious that they're related at all. That's going to be the reader's jobs. This was not supposed to be an overt, like, ha ha ha, these are related. I mean, the only other way people are going to know is if they watch the Blog Factory now, because we sort of told them. Yeah, other than that, they're just going to be really astute, keen readers. But it's gonna be its own standalone series. It does not have to be read in tandem with the Grave Report. It's going to have its own characters, its own problems. It's just sharing the same world. So the covers will be whatever Sarah and I decide that best suit that series, because I don't want them to be interreliant on each other. I want them to be able to stand alone, but they can co-sell each other. Like, I only want it to be a beneficial relationship. I don't want it to, they need to rely on each other, where people go like, oh, that looks the same, it must be related. I want them to read it. And hopefully the smart readers, it should be really obvious with the introduction of a certain character that it's the same world. But yeah, I'm going to let it speak for itself. It's going to be its own series with its own standalone covers that help market it.
I really hope I know who that character is. I have a theory. I'm assuming I know who it is.
You're one of the few people who has like the alpha, which is still in work, and you have it all the way up to like, I don't know, 130,
I know,
40,000.
I haven't. So I'm trying to push past this really ridiculous deadline that's snuck up on me. So I haven't had a chance. But as soon as I get this Baratheon off to my editor, that is definitely my next little project that I'll be working on. I cannot wait to read the rest of it, and I can't let myself start because I won't put the damn thing down. So I know that a lot of writers will write in different genres or different subgenres. I know that there's often talk about whether or not to use pen names, whether or not to create different websites. My opinion on that, obviously, it's gonna depend. You're not gonna link your erotica series and your YA series and chug them up under the same name on the same website, because you'll run into trouble there. But my next series will be science fiction, probably more science fantasy, because I'm not a very sciencey person. But I've started to map out some of the things that I'm going to do. But because it is quite a different subgenre, and I don't want people not realizing that, I'm not going to use a pen name. I'm going to use my initials. So my second series will be under A.R. Hopkins. The other benefit of that is being science fiction. I know it can be viewed as a total cop-out, but having a female's name on a science fiction book can sometimes damage the perception of the book. So I'm going to stick to the initials. But I am going to link it all on my website, which is one reason why I think also websites are so very important. You need to have one place where all of the things that you want to come together can do so in a cohesive manner. So you've got that landing place where people can go and they can look and go, this is fantasy, this is sci-fi, this is the middle grade stuff, this is the YA stuff. So I think the website does play a big part in your branding as well. And I do like your website, Ronnie. It's nice, it's clean, it's functional. And I think there are some really good author websites out there. I don't think you need anything too fancy. It is something we've discussed before. But from a branding perspective, I just think it's really important to have one.
Yeah, I'm glad I have one in it, but like I said, because I'm not very website savvy, which we talked about, I went for functionality over anything. So my website's like really mobile friendly. It's really simple and easy to use. It's like gray and black and white. It stands out. The only way you can't navigate it is if you're illiterate, because if you look at a word and you click on it and it'll take you to that section. It doesn't have all the crazy plugins or crazy design, so it doesn't slow things down. You could run it on any computer. It was literally made to be a hub for my information. And if you're interested, free short stories, which is another way I help do my branding, is I write and I publish free short stories up there just for free reads for people. And they've done really well. Each time they've attracted a lot of people. Like the first short story got 81 reads in a couple days. The second one has only been out for like not even a week, and it's gotten 25 the first day, and slowly people have been like picking it up every day and reading it. And it's just another way.
I would highly advise.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say, I would highly advise anyone watching to go check out Ronnie's short stories, because they are really fantastic. They really display his writing style, but they're also just really fun to read. They're really well-crafted books.
Thank you. It's just weird, though, because when people see them, no, it's just interesting because when people see them, they like flip out because they're third person. But I'm going to give it to you now.
Okay, no problems. So on the subject of branding, I guess the other really important thing is just, I guess it's not so much visual branding, it's logistical funneling of people from one book to the other. So it's hard. Having all your basic stuff. It's having your basic stuff ready. So make sure that all of your books contain links to your website. Make sure all of your books at the end of the book say, click here to get the next book. This is the name of the next book. Make sure people know what your series name is, where to find them, and just make sure that everything is linked to make it as easy as possible for people to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just rip through the whole series if they want to, rather than finish book 3 and go, oh, okay, that was really great, and then be waiting for a next book if you've already got 3 more out, and they don't know because you don't have the links there, you don't have the list of available books. So updating back matter when new releases happen, all that sort of stuff, it's just really important to be on top of.
Right. The other thing I'll say is doing the same for the paperback, because one of the most common techniques that you see in every paperback is once you've already got like more books out, like book 3 will say also by the author, and it'll show the same series as part of and go book 1, book 2. And then that way you'll know, like, oh, there's 2 more before this. I picked up the wrong book, but now I'm going to go get all 3. Or like, oh, I love this series. And you look in it and you pull it up and you're like, wait, he's got 5 more books of a whole nother series? Oh, guess I'll go check them out. So there's a way to do it for whatever the medium is. I just don't know how it works in audiobook. I'm assuming there's the narrator at the end will be like, please check out blah, 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 blah by so-and-so. Again, I don't know how audiobooks do it.
I've read 1,000 audiobooks, and you know what? I can't remember. Considering they're all series, that's really bad. I know that they are always introduced as the series name, and there is some branding in audiobooks, or at least the ones that I've listened to, admittedly, are big publisher, big branded ones. So books like Scalzi and Sanderson, and I went through the whole Wheel of Time on audio, which only took me a year. They have introductory music. They often will tend to keep the same narrator, which I find really, really vital. Unless your first narrator absolutely sucks, do not change, because people will follow a narrator through a series, and I've stopped reading a series or listening to a series on audio because the first narrator was fantastic and the second narrator was probably good, but he's not the same, and I wanted that same voice to carry me through the series. So audio branding is definitely something to consider when you set up your audiobooks. And depending on contracts, whether you get out of them, it may even be worth, if you have a major shift in your narrator, to go back and redo those first books just to keep that continuity.
Fair point. I could never get into them because like I've seen too many ups and downs. Like it is a hard niche market if you haven't like taken the time to really research and know what you're looking for. Because there are platforms, I think Amazon offers something, but I've heard really bad and really good things, and it's more like it's just luck. And I can't. At the point I am in my career, I don't want to rely on luck for me, because that's not, luck is not a formula.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, when you're writing, you never know what you're going to write that's going to hit well. Go ahead.
I think audio is a really important tool to have in your arsenal, but you have to do it correctly, and doing it correctly isn't cheap. I think once you've got a few books out in your series, introducing the audio, I've heard excellent success stories from people who have known what they're doing, gone out, hunted down a really good narrator, and there are ways of doing it. You can pay the narrator upfront, or you can do a royalty share. But certainly, I think if you have a bad narrator, that can just damage your entire audio branding. And everything that we have said, you've got to try and nail this from the start, because it's much easier to do that than to get 4 or 5 books down and then have to pay for 5 whole new covers, or to have 5 books redone on audio. It's something that you've got to start thinking about, even when you just have that one little book that you're just putting out into the world, which is scary and terrifying on its own. You've got to remember, if it's a series, that book is going to represent the entire series from that point on.
Right. My whole goal with branding is just to build up a series large enough that Netflix just gives me a TV show deal, and then that will take care of the branding itself. That's my goal.
That wouldn't be hard with your book. Your books would be absolutely fantastic as a TV series.
Yeah. Well, more time. We will see.
Yeah. Do you know much? I know that this is a little bit off topic. The new Amazon script writing thing.
Yes, I
anything
did hear
that?
about this. How you can actually write a screenplay and a script or pitch an existing series to Amazon to see if it becomes viable for an adaptation to their Amazon Prime network, which is kind of like their version of Netflix, where they make their own exclusive content that you, again, like with cable, you pay for Amazon Prime, but you get their unlimited TV shows or movies and whatever they have deals with, plus their own shows. Like The Man in the High Castle, based off the novel. That's an Amazon Prime exclusive TV show, and Amazon has created like a.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize they made The Man in High Castle. I knew that it was happening, but I just assumed it would be one of the other networks.
No. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure it is Amazon Prime.
Hmm.
I can check right now because I remember hearing about it all the time, like Amazon Prime exclusive, blah blah blah, The Man in the High Castle, and it was like, oh, they're doing it, cool. Because Amazon has been putting out its own content. Wow, the fact that word eluded me right now is not good. My brain is. But yes, I think it is Amazon that is doing it. Yeah, from everything I can gather, it is it. Because I know they also have one based on what is it, the Michael Connelly Bosch detective novels. They've also got that as one of their Amazon original series too.
Oh wow! I think that's definitely something that could take off, and could be worth it just for a few really special authors.
Well, I will say this: things with like House of Cards and so many other shows. I remember actors talking about why they like working with either Netflix or Amazon is because, first of all, the series debuts all at once. People don't have to wait. There's no commercial breaks. It's a lot more involved for the audience, and they can binge watch it, so they don't have to go like, oh, maybe the pilot didn't hook me. But like, if there's 12 episodes day one, they might go like, well, maybe I'll check out the rest, and by like the second or third, or by the end, if they're hooked, and they're like, oh my god. And now Amazon has a fan who's willing to watch the show. That's more for, let's say, if it is based off a book like the Michael Connelly ones. That's going to lead to sales for the books. It just is. People are going to talk about it. That's more sales for Amazon's network of having Prime or Netflix. And the other big thing is, I remember actors talking about that. They got a lot more control with how they wanted to do the show, which, again, from an author standpoint, would be pretty great, too. If you get involved in the project as a producer, or if you whatever rights you negotiate out, if you're allowed to have some say in the way things are being done, that's always good. You might not get that with a larger deal with anybody else. In fact, most newbie authors won't. You're just going to get like a really enticing check, which is like a year's salary for an average job. Like you might get a $60,000 check, which seeing that at once is like, oh my God, yes, take my thing. And they will. And they'll make it, and they'll do whatever they feel like doing. Eventually you'll get the rights back, hopefully, and it might be fantastic for you, and it might look great, or it might be horrible, because those things have happened too.
Yeah, I think Andy Weir in an interview was saying that he's made more on Audible book sales than he did on the movie deal, because the movie deal is just, here's some money, see you later. And there's no sort of ongoing.
Yeah, they might never make it
to that residual income.
Yeah, and again, they might never make it. That's how they get.
But even if they do, depending on the contract you sign, they could be a gazillion dollars selling box office smash, but you don't get that. You just get that original check that you got at the start, unless your contract obviously says otherwise.
Yeah, well,
and
no,
you might sell more books because of it, but
no, they normally try to give you you get royalties too. It's just how smart are you in negotiating those?
Yeah,
because most people only try to convince you to negotiate for net worth, which is not what you want to do, because that net worth comes out after everything's been made, including their marketing budget and everything else. So they can keep selling and selling ads and paying for all this stuff, which lowers the net profit. But everyone else who's taking a cut of gross is getting paid. So they don't have to pay you, because they can just keep making more ads to sell the movies where they're getting their cut from. You ideally, I don't know how easy that is. That's a whole different matter. But like, want to negotiate for a chunk of gross, because that's what just the movie rakes in, and you get paid before. What? You said something.
If somebody approaches you for a movie deal, call Ronnie.
Do not call me. I have some insight, which is better than none. But some is just enough to get
better than what I've got.
Yeah, but some's enough to get you into trouble. I know enough to know that I don't know enough to make the deal on my own. I'm gonna call. I know other people I'm gonna call who know a lot more and have read over these kind of contracts and have nitpicked at them forever. That's
That's where it can be really, really useful for indie authors to have agents. No, you're not submitting your manuscript to publishers, but agents have a lot more functions than that. They can help you to negotiate movie deals, TV deals, audio deals if that's where you want to go. Also, international markets and translations.
Well, more than an agent, you
So
want a
yeah,
lawyer.
definitely.
Because agents do get some of those, but at the end of the day, they're still not a lawyer either. Agents have seen their fair share, but you want a contract lawyer.
Yeah, my understanding is that the agents negotiate you the better deal, but then you definitely need a lawyer to make sure that you understand what you're doing and that there's nothing sneaky in there that is going
Yeah,
to
the agents
bite you
will
on the backside
definitely
down
be
the
the
track.
best medium to getting the better deal. But before anyone sees it after you do, you want to talk to a lawyer to see what you want to be negotiating for. Because your agent isn't a lawyer either. They might know a lot of things, but you want to know like what you're getting into because even your agent might misinterpret it. They're not lawyers. And this is not a slight against agents at all. It's just get a lawyer to pick out the plot holes first. Like, this is wrong. This is not in your favor. This isn't in your favor. You need to fix this. And then your agent will go look at those things and go, okay, we can do better here, here, and here. I know what to do. You want to take it in steps. You never want to give it to just one person. It's if it's part of a series, that's one movie or TV deal that could spur into many, that's a career, you don't want to get shortchanged over each and every one of those or get screwed or be like left out.
Which brings us back around to branding. All of this is so much more likely if you've got your branding on target and if people know to follow you as an author, to follow your series. They know how to find your other subgenres, your other books that are relevant to that brand. And on that point, I'm afraid going to have to wrap it up because my laptop's going flat. I'm sorry. I did not prepare very well for today. Is there anything that you wanted to add on the branding side of things, Ronnie?
One last thing real quick. One of the best ways to get an idea of your brand is break down your entire series. So not your books, but the entire series into like a 2 or 3 sentence, not pitch, but just summary if you could. So Dresden Files, what is it? Wizard PI in Chicago battles monsters. That's just the general gist. It gets more detailed than that, but it gives you a good idea. For mine, the Gray Report would literally be bodiless soul and paranormal investigator in New York. I mean, it's things like that helps you keep an idea of what you're trying to represent. So that helps you everywhere else. Like if you're trying to pitch it to somebody, you're going to keep it around that. All your summaries are going to focus on that. And you want to have that core summary. And that's about it. I guess we're ready to wrap up.
Excellent. I hope everybody has a really fantastic couple of weeks. And we will definitely chuck some info in the show notes. We'll put up probably links to our covers and links to the books so you can check them out.
Indeed.
And if there's anything that you'd like us to cover in future episodes, make sure that you drop us a line. You can jump onto our website at theblogfactory.com or you can hit us up on Facebook or on Blog Factory. And over at Twitter we are Blogit. So yeah, definitely keep in touch, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel. Have a great day. Bye.